Galactic Archive Station 9, Deep Space, year 3491. A silent chamber floated between the stars. Thousands of alien historians gathered. They studied a place no one dared to visit, the Forbidden Sector. For 10,000 years, that region of space was avoided, not because of enemies, not because of war, but because of gravity. Gravity there was broken, twisted, violent. Ships entering the sector were stretched apart, metal torn like paper. Navigation systems failed, signals vanished forever. Every expedition ended the same way: silence. Ancient empires named it the graveyard of stars. Maps of the galaxy showed a dark scar, a place where no light stayed still, a place where physics itself was unstable. Scientists studied it, explorers tried to enter it, war fleets even tested their strongest ships. None returned. Because of this, the galaxy made a rule: never enter the Forbidden Sector. It was not a law, it was survival. Professor Kaylor floated near the archive display, his four eyes focused on the projection of the sector, a swirling storm of gravity. Stars bent like reflections in water. Even light struggled to escape. Kaylor spoke slowly, his voice echoed in the chamber. This region has destroyed every civilization that attempted entry. The gravity shear exceeds safe limits by 10,000%. No known technology can survive this environment. The historians nodded. For them, the case was closed long ago. The Forbidden Sector was nature's warning, a cosmic wall. But then, another projection appeared, a small blue symbol blinking on the map, the symbol of Earth. Humans. The chamber filled with quiet whispers. Humans had a reputation in the galaxy. Strange creatures, risk-takers, problem-solvers. Where others saw danger, humans often saw opportunity. Kaylor continued speaking. 300 years ago, human explorers arrived at the edge of the Forbidden Sector. Alien observers expected the same result as always: a short mission, a destroyed fleet, another warning added to history. But humans did not rush inside. They waited. They watched the gravity storms. They mapped the shifting forces. They studied the rhythm of the void. For 10 years, human ships stayed at the border, silent, patient. Other civilizations laughed. 10 years of watching an impossible place, a waste of time. But humans had a different philosophy. If nature builds a wall, humans try to build a door. If physics creates danger, humans try to understand it. And sometimes humans try to bend it. One alien historian raised a limb. Why would they even try? Kaylor answered calmly, because humans believe something very strange. The most dangerous places in the universe often hide the greatest rewards: energy, resources, new worlds. The Forbidden Sector had something else too: power. Inside the gravity storm, energy levels were beyond imagination. Enough to power thousands of star systems, enough to change the balance of the galaxy. Still, no civilization had survived even 1 minute inside, until humans tried something different. Instead of entering the storm directly, human engineers studied the edges, where gravity stretched space. They discovered patterns, small, stable pockets, tiny, calm zones between waves of destruction. They called them gravity shadows, places where physics rested for a moment, small, unstable, but real. Most scientists in the galaxy ignored these zones, too dangerous, too temporary. But humans saw a possibility. If you could stabilize a gravity shadow, you could build something inside it, something permanent, something impossible. Another historian leaned forward. You mean a base inside the forbidden sector? Kalor shook his head slowly. Not a base, something far greater. The room became silent. Kalor activated another projection. A massive structure appeared on the screen. Tall towers stretching into distorted space, anchored deep inside the gravity storm. Terraforming spires. The historians gasped. Impossible. These structures were enormous, bigger than entire cities, and they were standing inside the void. Kalor continued. Human machines that could resonate with the gravity waves. Instead of fighting the storm, they synchronized with it. When gravity twisted space, the spires twisted with it. When the storm calmed, the structures stabilized the area around them. Slowly, very slowly, the chaos began to change. A small safe zone formed inside the storm, then another, like islands forming in an endless ocean. The galaxy watched in disbelief. For centuries, the forbidden sector was death. Now, lights were appearing inside it, human lights. A young historian whispered quietly, "Why would humans risk everything for a place like that?" Kalor answered with a strange tone, "Because humans do not only explore space, they reshape it, and sometimes they turn nightmares into dreams." But that was only the beginning, because what humans built inside the forbidden sector was not just a station, not just a colony, it was something the galaxy had never seen before, a paradise. Right in the center of the most dangerous place in the universe, and when the first images were finally revealed, every civilization in the galaxy felt the same emotion, shock. Because inside the cosmic graveyard, where nothing should live, humans had created a garden, a living world full of forests, rivers, oxygen-rich skies, a paradise inside the abyss. And the galaxy asked a question that no one could answer. How did humans do the impossible? But the greater question was even more dangerous. What else could humans build in places everyone else feared? Now, tell me something. If you discovered a place the entire galaxy feared, would you run away from it, or would you try to build a new world inside it? Write your answer in the comments, because the next part of this story reveals something even more shocking. The moment when the first life began to grow inside the void, and the galaxy realized the forbidden sector no longer belonged to fear. It belonged to humanity. For 20 years, the galaxy watched the forbidden sector. Lights slowly appeared inside the storm. At first, they were small, barely visible, tiny human stations floating between waves of crushing gravity. Alien empires expected failure. The storm had destroyed fleets, armadas, ancient civilizations. Surely a few fragile human stations would not survive. But they did. Year after year, the lights remained. Then something strange happened. More lights appeared. Not ships, not probes, structures. Massive towers began to rise from the darkness. They stretched deep into the chaos of space, their bases anchored into invisible gravity shadows, their tops reaching into the storm itself. The galaxy saw the structures and asked the same question. What are the humans building? Professor Kalar changed the archive projection. The towers became clear on the display, each one thousands of kilometers tall, their surfaces glowing with shifting energy fields. These were not stations, they were machines, machines designed to change the physics of the void. Kalar spoke to the silent chamber. Humans call these structures terraforming spires. Their purpose is not survival, their purpose is transformation. The historians leaned closer to the projection. Transformation of what? The void itself. Every spire was connected to a network of orbiting reactors. These reactors collected the wild energy of the gravity storm. The storm that once destroyed ships now powered the human machines. This alone shocked the galaxy. But humans were only beginning. Inside each spire, millions of counter-resonance engines activated. These engines studied the rhythm of the gravity waves, every shift, every ripple, every distortion of space. Then they created an opposite vibration, a mirror force. When gravity pulled, the engines pushed back. When space twisted, the spires adjusted their shape. Slowly, the chaos weakened. Small areas of stability formed. At first, they lasted seconds, then minutes, then hours. Eventually, entire regions became calm. The forbidden sector had never been calm before. Alien scientists watching from afar were stunned. One ancient empire sent a message to the Galactic Council. This is impossible. Physics cannot be negotiated with. But humans were negotiating with it every second. They did not fight the storm, they danced with it. Human engineers called this process gravity harmony, a dangerous balance between chaos and control. Then came the next stage. The spires activated their core engines. Massive energy pulses shot into the void. The pulses carried particles, artificial atmosphere seeds, molecular stabilizers. Tiny machines spread through the empty region. They began building something invisible, the first layers of a synthetic atmosphere, not a planet atmosphere, a space atmosphere, a protective field that could hold oxygen, water vapor, radiation shields. The historians gasped as they watched the archive recording. A glowing cloud slowly formed between the spires. The vacuum of space was changing. The void was becoming breathable. No civilization had ever attempted this because no one believed it could be done. But humans believed, and belief was turning into reality. Years passed. More spires arrived. Dozens became hundreds. The network expanded deeper into the storm. Every new tower stabilized another region of space. The forbidden sector was no longer pure chaos. It was becoming structured, controlled, alive. Then came the moment that shocked the entire galaxy. The first water clouds appeared, liquid water forming inside the artificial atmosphere, drops floating like silver stars, slowly gathering into drifting rivers of liquid. Gravity fields shaped the water into flowing streams, streams that moved through open space like glowing serpents. Human colonists arrived soon after, not soldiers, not warships, families, scientists, builders, farmers. They came with seeds, animal embryos, forests stored in genetic archives. The historians in the chamber whispered in disbelief. Humans were not building a base, they were building a world inside a cosmic storm. A young alien researcher asked quietly, "But how can life survive there?" Kalar answered, "Because humans changed the rules of the environment. Localized gravity fields created floating land masses. Artificial sunlight generators warmed the growing atmosphere. Radiation filters protected the fragile biosphere. Life began slowly. At first, only algae farms, then engineered plants, then entire ecosystems. The once silent void started producing sounds, water moving, leaves growing, wind flowing through artificial skies, all inside a place that once destroyed everything. But something even stranger was happening. The gravity storm itself was calming. The spires were stabilizing the region more than expected. The chaos that lasted millions of years was slowly fading. Human technology was healing the void. The galaxy could not understand it. For thousands of years, civilizations feared the forbidden sector. Now it was changing into something beautiful. But beauty creates another emotion in the galaxy, fear, because whoever controlled the forbidden sector now controlled the most powerful energy source ever discovered, and only one species lived there: humans. The historian's chamber fell silent again. One elder finally spoke. If humans can build life inside a cosmic storm, what could they build next? Kalar did not answer immediately. He changed the projection one more time. The screen showed the forbidden sector today. Green clouds, floating forests, rivers of water drifting through glowing skies. A paradise inside the abyss. But the most shocking part was still coming, because when the rest of the galaxy finally approached the sector, they discovered something unexpected. Humans had built paradise, but they had also built something else: a warning, a boundary, a message written in light across the stars. Do not enter without permission. Now think about this. If you were an alien empire watching humans turn a death zone into paradise, would you try to claim it, or would you stay very far away? Tell me your answer in the comments, because in the next part, the galaxy finally approaches the forbidden sector, and what they see there changes the balance of power forever. The forbidden sector was once silent. No stars singing, no signals traveling, no life breathing. Only gravity storms and endless darkness. For thousands of years, every explorer feared this place. But now, something new existed there. Life. Real, living life. The first forest did not grow on a planet. It grew on a floating island of rock, suspended in a controlled gravity field. Human engineers called it Skyland 1. At first, it was only soil, artificial soil, created in orbital labs. Then the seeds were planted, seeds designed for extreme space conditions, plants that could survive radiation, plants that could grow in shifting gravity. At first, only small green sprouts appeared, tiny, fragile leaves, but they survived. The artificial sunlight generators warmed the air. Water streams flowed through the floating land, and slowly, very slowly, the first forest was born in open space. Alien observers could not believe what they were seeing: a forest floating in the void, trees growing where ships once exploded. Soon more floating islands appeared. Some were covered with grass, some filled with lakes, some with entire jungles. Gravity anchors kept them stable. Atmosphere fields wrapped each island like an invisible bubble. Inside those bubbles, life was free to grow. Wind moved through leaves. Bird-like creatures flew between branches. Rivers flowed from one floating island to another. A paradise in the middle of the abyss. The humans called it the Garden of the Void. But building the garden was not simple. Every living creature had to be engineered carefully. Normal animals could not survive the strange gravity shifts. Normal plants could not handle the radiation storms. So human scientists created new life, life designed for the forbidden sector. Glowing trees that absorbed cosmic radiation, floating vines that used gravity waves to spread seeds, animals with flexible bones that adapted to changing gravity. One creature became famous across the galaxy: the sky whales. Massive, gentle animals, floating slowly through the artificial skies, their bodies filled with gas cells, allowing them to drift between the islands. They sang deep, peaceful songs, songs that echoed through the gravity fields. The once silent sector now had music, the sound of living worlds. Waterfalls drifted slowly through space, breaking into shining droplets of light. Forests stretched across hundreds of floating islands. Entire ecosystems formed. Predators, herbivores, flying creatures, deep water animals inside floating oceans. The transformation took 100 years. 100 years to turn death into paradise. Then the moment came. The moment the rest of the galaxy finally saw the truth. A long-range probe from a distant empire entered the sector. The probe expected chaos. It expected destruction. Instead, its cameras captured something unbelievable. Green worlds floating in glowing skies, rivers of light moving between islands, clouds full of oxygen drifting across the artificial atmosphere, animals moving through forests. The probe transmitted the images across the galaxy. Within hours, every empire saw them. Shock spread through the stars. The Forbidden Sector was no longer a graveyard. It was the most beautiful place ever created. A paradise built by human hands. And the humans were not hiding it anymore. Massive gates appeared at the border of the sector. Gravity-stabilized corridors leading safely inside. A message was broadcast across the galaxy. The Garden of the Void welcomes peaceful visitors. Respect the balance of this world, and you may witness its beauty. But many empires did not trust the invitation. They remembered the old stories. They remembered the destroyed fleets. Some believed it was a trap. Others believed humans had become too powerful, because whoever controlled the Forbidden Sector now controlled unimaginable energy. Energy from the stabilized gravity storm. Enough power to run entire civilizations. Enough power to build wonders across the galaxy. Yet humans used that power for something strange. Not war, not conquest. They used it to build life. Forests continued expanding. More islands appeared every year. Human cities were built carefully between ecosystems. Glass towers rising above green landscapes. Children running across floating bridges. Researchers studying new species. Farmers growing food in open space gardens. The impossible had become normal. One alien historian whispered in the archive chamber, "Why would humans build paradise in the most dangerous place in the universe?" Professor Kaylor answered quietly, "Because humans believe something very simple. If a place is broken, fix it. If a place is empty, fill it with life. If a place is feared, turn it into hope." But the galaxy was still watching carefully, because paradise also creates desire, and many empires were beginning to think the same thing. What if we take it? What if we control the Garden of the Void? What if humans cannot defend it? They did not know one important truth. The garden was not only beautiful, it was protected. Protected by the same gravity storm that once destroyed fleets. Only humans knew how to move safely through it. And hidden deep inside the sector, something powerful was waiting. Something that ensured the paradise would never fall. Now imagine this. You are an explorer. Your ship enters a region once known as the deadliest place in the galaxy. But instead of darkness, you see forests, rivers, floating worlds full of life. What would be your first reaction? Would you feel wonder or fear? Tell me your answer in the comments, because in the next part, alien empires finally send ships toward the garden, and what they discover there changes the future of the entire galaxy. The moment when disbelief turns into realization. Humans did not just survive the impossible, they mastered it. The images spread across the galaxy, floating forests, rivers in open space, living skies inside the Forbidden Sector. Every civilization saw the same thing, and none of them believed it. For thousands of years, the sector was a warning, a place of destruction. Now it looked like paradise. The first reaction of the galaxy was simple: denial. Ancient empires said the images were fake. Scientists claimed the recordings were errors. Military leaders called it human propaganda. But the signals kept coming. More probes entered the sector border. Every probe sent the same message: life exists inside the void. The Garden of the Void is real. Soon, the Galactic Council called an emergency meeting. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations gathered. Holographic images of the paradise filled the chamber. Green islands floating in glowing skies, water drifting like silver clouds, creatures flying through forests. A silent room filled with disbelief. One elder spoke slowly. For 10,000 years, the Forbidden Sector killed every explorer. Now humans have turned it into a garden. How is this possible? Another representative answered, "Humans do not fear impossible environments. They study them, then they change them." Many civilizations did not like that answer because it meant something dangerous. It meant human technology had reached a level no one expected. If humans could reshape the most violent region of space, then what could stop them anywhere else? The council decided to send an official expedition, not one ship, a fleet. Ships from many civilizations, scientists, observers, military escorts. Their mission was simple: enter the Forbidden Sector, study the human paradise, understand how it was built. The fleet moved toward the sector border, thousands of ships traveling together, many of them nervous. The old stories were still remembered: ships destroyed, explorers lost forever. As the fleet approached the boundary, something appeared in front of them. A massive structure, a gate made of shining metal, gravity fields swirling around it. This was the entrance to the Garden of the Void. Human ships waited beside the gate, calm, silent, watching. A message was transmitted to the fleet: "Welcome, visitors. Follow the safe corridor. Do not leave the path. Respect the gravity fields." The alien commanders hesitated. Trusting humans was not easy, but curiosity was stronger than fear. The fleet slowly entered the corridor. The moment they crossed the border, everything changed. The chaos of the gravity storm faded. The violent forces became calm. The ships moved smoothly through the sector. Many crews stared out their windows in silence. What they saw felt unreal. Floating islands covered with forests, massive waterfalls drifting between worlds, creatures flying through open skies, human cities shining between green landscapes. The Forbidden Sector had become something beautiful, something alive. The alien observers could not hide their shock. One scientist whispered to his crew, "This should not exist." Another ship passed near a floating ocean. The water stretched across kilometers of space, held together by gravity fields. Inside the ocean, huge creatures moved slowly beneath the surface, sky whales singing softly in the distance. Even the military officers forgot their suspicion. For a moment, they simply watched the wonder around them. The fleet continued deeper into the sector. Human guides led them safely through the gravity corridors. Eventually, they reached the center of the garden. There they saw the greatest structure of all, a city floating above a glowing forest, human towers reaching into artificial clouds, bridges connecting dozens of floating islands, lights reflecting across rivers of water. This was the capital of the garden, New Horizon City. Millions of humans lived there: scientists, explorers, families, children playing in parks floating above space. Farmers harvested crops from sky fields. Researchers studied new life forms born in the abyss. The alien fleet stopped above the city. The commanders realized something important. Humans were not guarding the garden like a fortress. There were no massive battle fleets, no weapons aimed at visitors. Only peaceful activity, life growing everywhere. This confused the alien observers even more. If this place was the most valuable region in the galaxy, why was it not heavily defended? Professor Kaylor explained the answer to the historians. Because humans do not rely only on weapons, they rely on something more powerful: understanding. Humans understood the gravity storm better than anyone else. Without their guidance, no ship could survive inside the sector. The paradise itself was the defense. Any hostile fleet entering the storm alone would be destroyed by the same forces that once ruled the sector. The galaxy slowly realized the truth. Humans had not just built a paradise, they had built the safest fortress in the universe, a fortress hidden inside beauty. And now the balance of power was changing, because the most dangerous place in the galaxy was now controlled by the most unpredictable species: humans. The alien fleet left the sector days later. They returned to their civilizations with new reports, reports that shocked every empire. The forbidden sector is no longer forbidden. It belongs to humanity, and humanity has turned it into the greatest wonder ever created. But the story did not end there, because the Garden of the Void was only the beginning. Humans had proven something that changed the future of exploration. No place in the universe is truly impossible. Some places simply wait for the right minds to reshape them. Now, think about this. If humans can build paradise in the deadliest place in space, what other impossible worlds might they create next? Tell me your idea in the comments, because in the final part, we will see how the Garden of the Void becomes a symbol for the entire galaxy, a symbol of courage, innovation, and the unstoppable spirit of humanity. The alien fleet left the Garden of the Void, but the images they carried spread faster than any ship across the galaxy. Civilizations watched the recordings: floating forests, shining rivers, cities built between the stars. The forbidden sector had become the greatest wonder ever seen. For thousands of years, the galaxy believed hostile places must be avoided. Danger meant retreat. Risk meant destruction. Humans proved something very different. Danger can become opportunity. The impossible can become home. Soon, explorers from many civilizations returned to the sector border, not with war fleets, with curiosity. Scientists requested permission to study the garden. Artists wanted to see the floating forests. Engineers hoped to learn the secrets of gravity harmony. Humans welcomed peaceful visitors, but the rules were clear. Respect the garden, respect the balance of life inside it, and the gates will remain open. The Garden of the Void slowly became a meeting place for the galaxy. Species that once ignored each other now worked together. Alien researchers studied the strange ecosystems. New forms of life were discovered every year. Plants that glowed like stars, creatures that moved between gravity currents, flowers that opened only during radiation storms. Human scientists shared their technology carefully, not everything, but enough to inspire new discoveries. Soon, other civilizations tried to copy the idea. Small gravity stabilizers were built near dangerous stars. New colonies formed in places once considered impossible. The galaxy was expanding faster than ever before because humans had shown the path. If the forbidden sector could become paradise, then any world might hold hidden potential. Professor Kaylor looked around the silent archive chamber. The alien historians were still studying the recordings. One young researcher spoke quietly. Before humans arrived, the forbidden sector was a warning. Now it is a symbol of courage. Kaylor nodded slowly. Yes, a monument to what happens when fear is replaced by curiosity. Another historian asked a deeper question. But what happens when humans find the next impossible place? Kaylor answered with a calm voice. Then they will do what humans always do. They will try. They will fail many times, and eventually they will succeed. Because humans believe the universe is not a prison, it is a challenge. The archive projection zoomed out from the Garden of the Void. The paradise looked like a bright star inside the storm. Green islands glowing inside the once deadly sector. But something new was appearing beyond it. Human exploration fleets moving toward deeper space, toward darker regions of the galaxy, toward places still marked impossible. The Garden of the Void had become a starting point, a gateway to the unknown. Young explorers trained in the floating cities, learning how to navigate gravity storms, learning how to build life in empty space. Many of them dreamed about the future. New gardens, new floating worlds, new civilizations growing in the dark between stars. Human children growing up in the garden often asked the same question. What was this place before it became paradise? Their teachers told the old story. Once this region destroyed everything. Once ships feared to even approach it. But brave explorers saw something different. They saw possibility inside danger. And that vision changed the galaxy forever. Years passed, then decades. The Garden of the Void grew larger. More forests, more oceans, more floating cities. Alien visitors walked through human parks, listening to the songs of sky whales, watching sunlight reflect across drifting rivers. Many of them felt the same emotion, hope. Because if the deadliest place in space could become alive, then the universe was not as hostile as they once believed. It simply needed imagination. Professor Kaylor ended the archive recording. The chamber light slowly brightened. Thousands of historians remained silent for a moment. They understood something important now. Humanity was not dangerous because of weapons. Humanity was dangerous because of ideas. Ideas that refused to accept limits. Ideas that turned chaos into creation. The forbidden sector had once been a graveyard. Now it was the greatest garden in the universe, all because one species refused to walk away from the impossible. And the most fascinating part of the story was still ahead, because humans had already started searching for the next challenge. Somewhere in the deep darkness of space, another impossible region waited. Another void full of danger, and somewhere out there, human explorers were already asking the same question they always asked. What if we try? Now, think about this. If you had the chance to build a new world anywhere in the universe, where would you build it? Inside a beautiful, safe star system, or inside the most dangerous place in the galaxy? Write your answer in the comments, because the future of exploration might depend on minds brave enough to choose the impossible. And history has already shown one truth. Humans are very good at choosing the impossible.